The Earth. It's our home and our provider of natural resources. And since all of these are natural resources, that means there's endless amounts of them, right?
What are you, stupid?
Yeah, in case you haven't caught on, we're in a bit of a tough spot. You see, we've been tapping the Earth's supply of oil, coal, and natural gases, which there aren't a limitless supply of. In fact, we're actually starting to run out of these things. And yeah, it's been thrown around for years, but it's true. We're really needing to find alternative methods of doing things that rely on these resources. Luckily for us, and our consumerism, there's alternative methods of doing so. Over the last 20 years, developments in renewable energy, which is our phrase of the day, have allowed for nearly anywhere on the globe to start breaking their reliance on the Earth's scarce resources.
Oh, cool. Where do I sign up?
So across the world, solar and wind farms are starting to pop up all over the place. These take things that are constant in our lives, sunlight and wind, and convert them into energy that we can use to power our homes, cars, schools, lawnmowers, just about anything you could possibly ask for. So let's take a look at all of these resources individually and talk about their strengths, weaknesses, how they generate power, and common places that you might see them. Let's start out with solar power. These are solar panels, specifically 9 of them. And they have this little LED here at the top that's supposed to show when they're making power. And this one is making power. So what's happening? See that over there? That's the sun. And the sun's UV energy is captured by these panels. And inside the panels there are these electrons. And as the UV hits them, they get excited and start moving around and generating power, which is then channeled out through these cords on the back. And there's a mess of them back here. I don't think you want to see that. And eventually, I'll go into this one cable that leads over here to our solar charge controller, which then feeds into these batteries. And the energy from these batteries goes into this 2,000 watt inverter that takes the voltage from all of these batteries and converts it into 120 volts, which is what most household appliances use. And then you can power a house, like your refrigerator, your coffee maker, your Tesla, any of that stuff can be powered off of solar if you have enough power. So yeah, these rely on the sunlight hitting them to generate power. A common complaint might be, though, what happens if they're covered in snow, or there's less sun than usual?
Take a look at this. These are solar panels. The one on the left there seems to have a bit of snow covering it. And a lot of people would complain that that means that it's not producing any energy. That's where you'd be wrong.
This is the outside of a car. Not my car, just a car I found on the internet, but if you look, it's covered in snow. This represents a solar panel, and the snow represents snow. Now let's take a look at the inside of the car. As you can see, there is snow blocking the windshield, but there's still light coming through. It's not as much light as a clean windshield, but there is still light coming through. If that windshield were replaced with solar panels and the snow was still there, UV light would still travel through the snow and excite the electrons in the solar panels. It might take a little longer to produce as much energy as clean solar panels, and eventually the snow will melt away, but it is possible to generate electricity through snow.
So even though it's covered in snow, the electrons are still getting excited, which means it can power whatever this thing might be powering. I think probably those lights over there are powered by solar, or the non-traditional looking wind turbine up there. That is a wind turbine, and I think the generator is right in there somewhere. And as that spins, it generates power.
Speaking of wind power, I've got something cool to show you guys.
Yeah, this one doesn't work.
Yeah, unfortunately, this one isn't working right now. It's been turned off. But at one point, this was spinning and generating electricity for something. Wind turbines spin around on an axis. They usually have about 3 blades or so, and the wind pushes the blades around. Inside the turbine, or below it sometimes, there's a generator. As the turbine spins, it powers the generator, which generates electricity, which is usually piped to a power substation somewhere. You know that thing that falls from the sky every so often, and usually when it happens it covers the ground for a bit and little reservoirs of it appear all over the place? Okay, not that. It's actually rain, but think about it. Rain is hundreds of gallons of essentially free water, and while I wouldn't recommend consuming the water straight out of the source because, germs, by applying filtration techniques it can become potable water, or you can just collect the water and let it sit for a while for irrigation, like this. So this is an example of a rain barrel, and what happens is the rainwater cascades down off of this roof into some little grates on the top here, and then this just holds all the rainwater. It doesn't purify it, it's literally a holding cell for rainwater. And then if you turn this faucet on, rainwater will come out. There's not much because it's frozen right now, but this is an example of using what the earth gives you for a practical application like irrigation.
If you live within 200 miles of a golf course, you know that people love to water their lawns at all hours of the day. You know, it's got to be that perfect shade of green so that everybody that looks at it can stare at your lawn and go, "Oh my gosh, your lawn looks so excellent right now." Of course, there's an issue with that. A lot of these places aren't using reservoirs of already collected water. They're taking from the groundwater supply or a municipal water tower. What if we were able to use collected rainwater for irrigation systems? Wouldn't that be pretty neat? Unfortunately, our reliance on renewable energy may not be here to stay. Recently, many politicians have made it clear that they are not for the shift to renewable energy and would like to continue tapping the Earth's resources. To that, I have to say,
What are you, stupid?
there's even a clean energy vehicle tax credit that you can get, which is about $7,500 if you purchase an electric vehicle. Except these, I'm pretty sure you can't get that credit if you have one of these. On top of that, the incoming federal administration has selected an energy executive to lead the Department of Energy. And not just any energy executive, an oil executive. Oil is not a renewable resource. It is a natural resource that is in scarce supply. Having an oil executive in charge of the Federal Department of Energy means that we're likely going to stop seeing as many renewable sources of energy tapped to power our lives.
And to that end, I'd just like to say this. If you enjoy seeing this, and this, and this, and this, and this, then it's time that we do something to start protecting that. The Earth isn't really getting any younger, and us using the Earth's natural resources and not using the things it's giving us, like wind and sunlight, is essentially like pulling the plug on it. We need to start working on enacting stricter requirements for renewable energy and things that don't really harm the atmosphere, the ozone layer, the renewable resources, etc. Because otherwise, hate to say it, but we might